Well, good morning. We're starting a new series of devotionals this morning, looking in the Gospel of John. And we're going to just shift how we do this. We're not going to go daily. We're going to just have one reflection each week, just to help us move into different rhythms as we all, certainly in Liberti Church, and I'm sure with other churches as well, are starting to move towards gathering physically together. Daily devotionals, as helpful as they have been, will just be transitioned into weekly devotionals, and we'll keep going for as long as this is helpful for those of us who use these to help us just to center our focus on Jesus, to give us something to hang off of God's word, really just to motivate us and move us through the week. So we'll just do this once a week. On a Monday, we'll drop this onto the WhatsApp group, and we'll start putting this in other places as well to help us. It'll be a little bit longer, maybe 4 or 5 minutes instead of 2 or 3 minutes. And we'll just make our way through John's epistle, not verse by verse, but just pulling some key parts of the epistle, helping us again just to set our gaze onto Jesus, helping stir our affections for who Jesus is. I just want to read to us from John chapter 1. Verse 1, this is what the apostle says. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. I just want to tell you a few things about the man who writes this gospel that we have here. John the apostle. John was the brother of James. These two guys were called the sons of thunder. They were full of zeal. But something that marked John's life was this. He was deeply in love with Jesus. He had a profound devotion towards Jesus. He writes this gospel that we have here. He writes 3 short letters that you see just a few pages to the right, and he writes the last book in the Bible, the book of Revelation. And through all of those 5 books, you see a thread of love for Jesus. He met Jesus. He was the disciple that Jesus said he loved. He was around Jesus. He was one of the first disciples, him and his brother James, to be called by Jesus. You read that in his own gospel here. And he loved Jesus. More than anything else in the world, he loved Jesus. And in each of his writings, he wants us to do the same. He wants us to love Jesus. But he wants us not just to love him as a man or a prophet or a great teacher or a man who died on the cross, but specifically, as we see in these first opening verses, he wants us to love him as our God. These first few verses of this gospel. In fact, in the first few verses of each of the gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, you see each of the gospel writers hammering home the divinity of Jesus, the truth that Jesus is God. John shows us here that Jesus was there in the beginning. Father, Son, and Spirit, the Son of God, was there in the beginning, and all things were made by Jesus. All things were created by him. You read elsewhere in the Bible that all things are held together by Jesus. And Jesus is the Word, capital W, the Word. He isn't just a collection of words. He isn't just truths that you read in the Bible. He is truth incarnate. He is the living Word. You'll see John use different metaphors as he goes through the Bible. Jesus describing himself as different things, as the bread of life, or as the resurrection and the life as living water, different metaphors. God has created these things, water, bread, the words that we have in this page, different other things in life like marriage and intimacy and sexual relations. All of these things are created for us to enjoy, but ultimately so that we can understand who God is. They point and they paint a picture of who God is. And as we think of Jesus as the Word, we think of words written on the page, we think of truths that are written. These things just give us a glimpse of the character of Jesus. Jesus is perfect truth. Nothing in him is wrong. Nothing in him is evil. There's no sin in Jesus. Everything he says is true. Everything he does is pure. His whole character is full of innocence because he is God. As we set out this week, I wonder how different our weeks would look if we truly believe that. That Jesus isn't just a great man that we read of in the Bible, but he is God. He is our creator God. He is a God who is full of truth, full of goodness. How would that change how we work this week? The man that we worship is God. How would it change how we interact with the people around us, our brothers, our sisters, our colleagues, our friends, our husbands, our wives, our children, our mothers, our fathers? How would it change when we see that Jesus, who we serve, who we submit to, who we follow, is God? That he holds everything together, that he and he alone is powerful, is sovereign, to bring about change, to create from nothing. How would it change how we spend our money this week? How we spend our time this week? If we truly believe that the Jesus that we love is God, that he and he alone has the power of life and death, how would that change the type of people that we are, the type of people that we want to be? How would it change how we want to look back when we get to the end of the week, this time next week, and look back and think of the things that we have accomplished and the things that we haven't? If we truly believed that Jesus is God. Folks, he's not just our friend. He's not just a wise teacher. He's not just a prophet. He's not just a good man. He is God, and he has laid claim on everything in creation. He is able to say of everything in creation, that is mine, and I will do with it what I will for my glory and for the good of my people. Well, I hope that would help us this week to look upon Jesus with eyes of devotion like John the Apostle, but also like John, to see Jesus as our God.